Takatur, Yangai, Danidlung, Russell Mullen. Welcome. Hello, my name's Russell Mullen. I work for the GunaiKurnai Land and Waters Aboriginal Corporation. I'm the registered Aboriginal Party Manager under the Aboriginal Heritage Act. I'm pleased to present to you community-driven archaeological research in GunaiKurnai country. New Guinea Cave was first discovered back in 1977 by the Victorian Archaeological Survey 40 years ago. This article that you see from the Age, headlining Black Art Discovery, talks about the finger fluting in the cave. It's situated on the Snowy River in a remote part of Gippsland. La Trobe University Summer Field School operated between 1980 and 84, predominantly focusing on archaeological investigation. The cave's about 100 metres long with multiple corridors and chambers. Excavation was controlled by Dr. Paul Osser between 1981 and 1985. Excavations to a depth of 5 metres was undertaken. Approximately 43.5 square metres were dug. Occupation, the dating came back to about 25,000 years. In 2021-2025, new GunaiKurnai-led investigations took place on Crowathunkalung country. A bit of an indication of where finger fluting has been found in Australia. This map shows those locations. So we've got over in the west, out on the Nullarbor, down the southwest of Victoria, and here in Gippsland. One of the first things that we need to do to get in to do the research was to engage a person to help set up the camp, and this was Wyland Adventures, which were really complicit in establishing a remote research centre. Yago Delannoy came out from France. One of the first things to do was to capture the actual 3D model of the cave. There was over 1 million laser points and 10,000 high-resolution photos taken to build the model. His father, Jean-Jacques, came out. His role was to tell the story or capture the story of the history of the cave, how it formed, when it formed. And this provides an accurate understanding of what this cave system looks like. We had questions about the current look of the cave and what it might look like in the past. Engravings. The decorated section of the cave is about 35 metres from the current entrance. It's made of 6 neighbouring panels that extend for 20 metres. Land markings or finger flutings are mainly found above a sloping clay bench that runs the length of the gallery. A permanent stream runs along the side of the gallery. The finger flutings were made by running fingers in ancient soft carbonate-rich clay that lines the ceiling. We were fortunate enough to have Olivia and Diego, 2 Spanish rock art experts, come out to photograph and record the finger fluting. One of the first questions I had after a day in the cave for Diego and Olivia was, could they tell the difference between whether they were made by adults or children? And they said explicitly, yes, they were both adults and children putting designs on the wall. Madeline Kelly was also engaged to produce a 3D model and export it onto a tablet. And she sketched all the finger flutings and they were checked and double-checked. There's always a question of why we conducted the research. In a world that's changing climatically, the conditions in the cave may well change in what we could and understand what and how the engravings were placed and where. It's another case of understanding finger fluting may be impacted by those environmental changes. The 3D model allows GLOWAC to hold a digitised copy of the cave to show elders and community. It also becomes a management tool for any changes that might be occurring in the cave at any specific time in the future. It's a capture of the cave in its current state. Had a number of visitors come to the cave, including GunaiKurnai crew and a number of experts from overseas and from here in Australia. One of those was Lee Arnold of OSL Dating, and it's important to get dates. We don't know how long ago the finger fluting was put on the ceiling or on the walls. Also commissioned Mike Morley from Flinders University to come out and collect sediments from the floor. So a block was cut out and sent to Adelaide for micromorphology analysis to determine whether we can get some dates on some of the ceiling crystalline sediments falling on the ground on the floor of the cave. So from October through November 2025, our main focus now is on the archaeology of the cave. So the first part was about the finger fluting, the artwork, and the history of the cave. These are two components that are really critical in our understanding the cave. Other points, the material collected by OSA and La Trobe University sat there for 40 odd years without any real analysis, so we've been able to reanalyse the faunal remains. That work was done by Matt McDowell and continues even today. Also telling the story in a way that GunaiKurnai people are involved. If we look back at that early period of La Trobe University, no GunaiKurnai people were involved in the dig, no GunaiKurnai people were involved in the analysis of the materials. We were very fortunate to have the ability now to be engaged and to look at research from GunaiKurnai cultural lenses. And that's an important part of what we're engaged with. It's important that GunaiKurnai cultural lens is incorporated into the research. Scientists might come at research from a scientific point of view. We need the cultural lens to interpret the findings and understand the relationship of our ancestors with country, in this particular case. A cave that's got something very important in it, the finger fluting, the expression of artwork, the expression of art being placed on the wall that's remained for many thousands of years. Some important acknowledgements, that is to the Australian Research Council, the Rock Art Australia, and internally in GunaiKurnai Land and Waters Corporation, many people have been involved in coordinating, enable us to undertake this important piece of research.